Now let's create the one application. Select dynamic web project. So here we can just write the name of the applications, that maybe what Servlet AngularJS Integration. If you want, then you can write Apache Tomcat. If you have not configured, just go to the new and select from here Apache which version. If you want to add, just select that option, and from here you can give the path of your server. I have already configured. Just click on the next button, next generate web.xml, and click here finish. Now our web application is now created. Just let's try to execute. Web application is now created. Just expand this, and we have not got any HTML file. Okay, let's create the home page where you will folders. Just take HTML page or JSP page, whatever you want to take, because we are not going to use this Java codes in our client side. Just we will use what AngularJS code, AngularJS. In backend we are going to use here Servlet, okay, and JDBC API. So whatever you want, just you can take. Just I have taken here what employee, and just write the name of the file employee.html. This is employee.html AngularJS Integration. You can write. If you want, just write HR, it's horizontal rule, aligns, that should be in center. Simply just go to first and check the output what we gonna get. Run on server. Select your server, Tomcat servers you have already configured to this tab, and refresh this page. This is the output of our application, and here you can just open Google Chrome. Open in Google Chrome. This is the output of our page. What we want, first I want to complete the backend code. So we have discussed in the first part of this video that why DO required, why services required, and why controllers, what the code we are going to write in controllers, what the codes we are going to write in service layer, and what is the code we are going to write in DO layer. Those all things we have discussed earlier. Now at these points that I'm going to create all the classes and interfaces which are required to create all the logics. Just go to here new, and one interface. I'm going to write one interface, that is employee DAO. We should write these all things in a proper package. com.servlet angular dot what we can write DAO. In the same way, we have to create what interface or API for our service layer. Okay, in the same way, what we can write employee service, but we should change the package from here services. Okay, so we have created here the API. It's now really implementation required. We should create the implementation. Font is good. I think this is too big. Okay. Then in employee DAO, what we are going to write, all the things we should on. Then what we can write public. And this method is going to return the list of our employee. List of employee. Then before writing the list of employee, we will create here, just it's gonna return the list of employee. Then how to write find all employee. So first we need to create one class, Pozo class, that will hold the data of your all employee, where we will store the data to save everywhere, right? So we can write here what employee class. Sorry, here we should write what beans or Pozo classes, whatever you want you can write. Simply we should write entity sometime if we are using what Hibernate. So what the properties to be string designation private string address. Let's create the constructor employee. Okay, here what we have to write an employee DAO. Let's import this. Import. Now what we want, we have created two APIs, means two interfaces. We have provided, this is the employee, it will return all the list of yours these things. Okay, then first of all I will complete what DO layers. DO layer means what? We are going to write only the logics to communicate with the database. Means this layer will only communicate with the database, fetch the data from our DB, or we want to store the data into DB. So this layer employee, or this layer is going to communicate with what? Our database. We are not going to write any other logic like exception handling or business logic, means taking the validations or conversion. We all things we are going to write in where service layer. So we have created one interfaces here, and this implementation for this API or this interface may be provided by different vendors or different technology. So we are going to use here what? JDBC. So implementation will provide for this all methods of this interface in JDBC. We can also, if you want to write the logics in Hibernate, then we can simply implement this interface or this API. Okay, so let's create what? Let's create the implementation for this class. So simply just create here, right click, somewhere's new class. So I'm going to create what? Implementation for what? API. What is the API? DO layers. DO layers is providing not APIs to create the implementation for fetching the data from what? Database. So we are going to create the implementation of what? Employee DAO. So in the same package we will write what? Employee DAO. This may be the spelling mistake. It's not showing error. Okay, here. Employee DAO IMPL. Let's implement this method, this interface employee DAO. So we'll have to provide what? The implementation here. Then how to provide, just click here. So here we have to write what? Implementation for these methods. What we may have other method also, like what? Public, like what? You want to register something, int create. You want to save something, what? Employee object. So you can define all the methods. Okay, just provide implementation for those all methods. Okay, we have many methods here to provide the implementation. What we really going to write in this method will get the data from database. So at this point we are going to use what? We are going to use JDBC technology, right? JDBC technology we are going to write. So how to fetch the data from database using JDBC? So we need to register first what? We know all these steps. We need to register the drivers, preparing the connections, preparing what? Statements, fetching the data. Okay, so that's all things. Then what is required? What we can do here is we can simply write registers like class.forName. Class.forName we can do. Okay, class.forName. Then what we can write? What is the class to face? Okay, then com.mysql.jdbc.driver. It will throws the exception. Okay, suppose just I want to show you something. Again you will create what? Connection interface, object. Let's create what? Driver manager dot get connection. Here we have to pass the URL like JDBC colon MySQL / localhost server name and name of the database. I have written here what? Employee EMP. Hello, problem with this one. We will have to write this everywhere when we are calling this method. Then this code will be executed. What is really required? We have to register only once to the drivers. Again we have to write everywhere what? Driver.getConnection URL a server what IP address, okay, address of your system, employee DB, username and password. Suppose that you have maybe the 10 methods or 20 methods in this class, then everywhere you have to write this one. Okay, so tomorrow suppose the username, of this method, this database is changed, then you will have to change everywhere. Suppose that you have the 20 or hundreds of classes in your applications Java, and all the classes having the suppose 10 methods or 20 methods, then you will have to change everywhere, right? Then what we can do, we can store, or you will have to write this logic everywhere. Okay, so what we can do, we can create one class. Okay, when we can create what, the factory class or factory methods, okay, that will return what, that will create the object of our connection and return for us. Okay, for that just I'm going to create one helper class. We can say helper class, that is what in Java you can write here util package what connection util. Okay, connection util, just we can simply write with all logic public static, it will return what, the object of your connection. Get new connection, you can write get new connection, and this method will return the object of your what, new connection. So I'm gonna just remove this code and put here only. Then we know all the static blocks. What is the static block? At the time of class loading, it will execute it. So we want to register only one, just surround this and try catch. Okay, and this method is going to return the object of your connection. So simply you can store, or directly if you want, then you can return from here, no problem. Okay, then what we can do, you can throw the exception. Okay, so what is the benefit? If we have 100 methods, or we are accessing from the thousands of places, then we don't need to write this code everywhere. Just we can simply what, we can, if the database name or any driver changes or anything, username or password changes, just we will have to change at this place only, not anywhere. Okay, now we want to get the connection, just call what, connection util, what we have created, dot get new connection. It will returns the object of what, connection. Okay, this is stored in the connection. Okay, if you want to access, suppose you want to access, okay, here's add those. What is this? Exception is not compatible with the employee finder. I think I have not throws from here. Okay, throws SQL exception. Okay, then come to this point again. If you want to access this connection, you have to call here only, you have to call what, the object, this method, and you will get what, the connection of this method. So you will get the connection object. What is required after connection? We have to prepare what, statements, then we want to fetch what, select, we need to write here query. If you want, what is the good practice? Is that you should store the query at one place. When you will getting error, or if you want to make changes, or if you have to modify your query, you will not need to find in every class. Just simply go at one file, and you can modify or edit your queries. So now we have created what, util class. Okay, that is going to create the object of your connection, and it will return for you. Wherever you want to access this, you can simply call that method, and that will return the connection object, and you can use. Suppose that you want to use at this point, this you have to simply call that method here. You will call this method, it will return what, the object of your new connection, and you can use from here. Okay, then let's use how to use. Just simply connection util dot get connection. It will return what, the object of your connection. Then we can use the connection object. Okay, connections dot prepare statement. Here we have to write what, query. Okay, I'm going to write suppose select emp ID, name, salary, okay, name, salary, designation, and address from where employee. Okay, now it will returns the object of your prepared statement. Simply we can store here. But one point that I want to make you understand, what I have written here, what query. We may have the multiple methods. At the multiple places we have written queries. We may have multiple classes, maybe 100 of classes. We are writing all the queries at one place. We're not writing here still at one place. Okay, so we are writing every methods. And suppose that we want to modify our query, we'll have to search in methods where we have written that query. Okay, the solution is we should write what we can write all the codes in one file or one place, where whenever we want to make changes, whenever we want to modify in that query, simply we can open that file and we can change from there. Okay, so what I'm going to write, just simply let's create one class that may be what SQL constants or SQL query constant. Okay, SQL sorry here let's create what one class. Okay, then what we can write, SQL queries. Okay, SQL query, and simply finish. You can write here what in the same package you did. Then if we want to write any query, just simply write what public static final string what SQL select all employee, and the same query whatever you have written here we can simply write at one place. Just cut this query and put at this point. Now every query to save the data, to fetch the employee details, find by ID, find by name, or delete, everything you will write at one place. Okay, how to access? Just you can simply write SQL query dot select all employees. So we are not writing a query at one place. Okay, then what we can do now, we have to paste. Then while ps dot next, sorry what required, we have prepared the statements. Then we will have to execute this. If you want to get the data, execute query. Okay, execute query returns the object of what result set, store in result set object, and iterate rs while rs dot next. Not if we have multiple details, we don't know how many rows are coming. Okay, then while rs dot next we can call. Okay, it will just iterate through all rows. Okay, result set, just data are stored in the form of what, and tables, we can say row and columns. Okay, object. Okay, now it will iterate through all this data whatever is fetching from the list, tables, and just return what employee list. So this method is what going to do. This method will now fetch the data from your database, all the details, means all the list of your employee, and returns the list. Okay, for you. Okay, now what we can do, you are getting all the list here. Then our DO layer is completed now. Then we have written here the logic to find the details of your all employee. In the same way, we will have to provide the implementation for this your service layer. Okay, I'm going to create what employee service implementation, employee service IMPL. Okay, an employee service IMPL. Let's implement what employee service. Okay, just provide the implementation for its method. What is going to return this method? Oh, I have not defined any method. Okay, so this method is going to return what the list of employee. Okay, list of employee, this method is going to return. Simply you can write the same method find. Okay, just I'm going to provide here the implementation for that method. Simply what we want to access the DO layer from our service layer. Okay, then what we can do, simply we can create the object of what our DO class. DO interface. Okay, so private, okay, let's stop, private employee DO, okay, private employee DO, employee DO, okay, new employee DO IMPL. What we can do, let's write in the try catch. Okay, simply whatever getting the exception, simply I'm going to write here in console just for the upper we will check. Okay, if we're getting error. For this one we are using loggers, especially in projects. Okay, then what is required? Our DO layer returns the list of what employee. So here we can create object of list, new array list. Okay, here what we can do, employee DO, employee DO start find all. It will return the list of all employee. Now you may say, you can ask the question that you are writing only 3 or 4 lines. Okay, then why you are creating service layer? Just believe me, we are in the real time, we are not going to write only this much of code in service layer. We may have the many codes, many number of lines of codes, because we are writing at the exception handling logic. Maybe we write the many catch blocks, okay, exception specific, and we can add the security checking, we can add the type conversion, we can write what password encryption, decryptions, okay, or mail sending or SMS sending, or those all things we are going to write in service layer. I cannot show those all things at this point, but believe in future if I create other applications, definitely I will show you how, what the really things we are going to write in service. Most of the things I will show you, okay, in service layer. For this point, at this time, I'm going to write this one. Okay, for the controllers now, I have created one controllers. Okay, one controllers, just I want what the object of service, because the service layer I'm going to access from where, controller. Okay, so I have created one service object, okay, service implementation object. From here what we really want, I want list. Okay, list service we want to access. Okay, it will return the list of employee, the employee service. Here find all, it will returns your list of all employee. Let's check, list dot size is greater than 0, means we got the data. Okay, so what we want, I want to write this all the data in your output stream. Okay, in output stream I want to write, so what is required, print writer out what response response dot get writer. Okay, and close here out dot close. If we got the data, we want to write out dot print something, or what, print list. Okay, if we execute, so what is it required here is library requires. Okay, in MySQL I have not added. To add the library, what we want, go to downloads, MySQL connector. Okay, and I'm going to use what, JSON. Let's copy, okay, and paste in your leaf folder here, paste. Okay, so I want to convert, before writing in the list in output stream, I want to send in the form of JSON data. Okay, so if you want to convert in JSON, just create the object of JSON, because I have added here object, library. Okay, JSON given by Google. Okay, new JSON. Okay, let's convert. How to convert? Just JSON data JSON dot to JSON. Okay, just you have to pass the object of list, and this method will convert your list object in the form of what, JSON. Okay, then instead of writing your list in the output stream, simply write your JSON data. Okay, what, let's execute this application. Let's execute what we have written. Just we are getting the data from service layer, we are getting the object of print writer. Okay, one thing required, in response we need to write your set content type. Okay, then browser will understand, oh, we got the data in JSON format, applications.json. Okay, let's run this application. Okay, what happened? browser. Okay, so what we can write here, localhost employee controller. Perfect, we got this data in the form of what? JSON. Okay, so it is not properly visible. If you use from your Firefox, and I hope it will just show you formatted JSON. Perfect. Okay, so now we can see the list of all the students in the form of what? JSON. Okay, and this JSON data we will paste from where your AngularJS and will render this all the data into table, HTML tables. Okay, so now our backend is what? Completed. Just take a look once. I have created first DAO. Okay, I have created one interface. Okay, and here I have defined what? Two methods. Okay, now here I have provided the implementation for the find all method only. Let's see here the class employee DAO implementation. Find all methods. What I'm doing, I'm creating the list. Okay, list object, the connection object we need. So what I'm doing, I have created one the collection unit connection in util class. Okay, and yes, we have defined one method get new connection because we want to use the logic of this method at many places. Okay, that's why I have written what at one place, and other things is what I'm not here. If any modification if is required, like the password or database changes is required, so what we can do, we will have to change at this place only, not everywhere. Okay, this we are calling this method. So that method returns the object of your connection. I'm preparing what this statement object query required, so I'm not directly writing here the query because it will be difficult to find. If sometime if you want to modify, we will have to search in the methods, we will have to search in the classes. Okay, so that's why I have created one SQL query class, and at this point I will write every queries. One query I have written what? SQL select all employee, SQL select by ID, SQL select by name. Okay, or SQL save employee. Every query I will write at this place. Okay, so I'm just executing, getting the data and result set. Okay, iterating one by one, adding every row. We are fetching the every row. Okay, and creating those all one object from that data. Okay, and adding the list. Okay, and I'm returning the list from this object, this layer to service. Okay, means from the service I want to access that method. So object of employee DAO is required. I'm calling that method. Okay, I'm pasting the list of employee. Okay, and from this list then again I'm accessing that method from your controller. In controller I have just created one employee controller. Okay, override and do get method because we want to fetch the data. We will override the post method, we want to save the data. Okay, so we are getting the data. So I'm accessing the service method. Again I'm creating the object of print writer. I'm specifying here the content type. Content type is what? JSON data we want to return. Okay, so I have written here use the JSON. Okay, API, Google APIs to create to convert Java object to JSON. Okay, so I'm converting that list in the form of what? JSON. Okay, I'm writing in the output stream. Close the output stream. Employee .html. So we are getting this. Okay, so we have to show the details. I have created one tables with headers. Okay, then first of all just I'm going to create the AngularJS Ajax calls code. Okay, for that we need to first create one modules. One modules in AngularJS is what? It contains all the filters. It just like a containers. Angular module is what? Just like a container. It will just where we can configure what controllers, filters, or service. Okay, and many more things we can configure Angular models. So we have one method in Angulars. It will take these two parameters. The first parameter is what? The name of your what model. Okay, you can write this in. And second one will take the array. Here any other things we want to inject like Growl or maybe other services or any other things we want to use, we want to inject in our model, so we can specify here. Okay, and second thing here we can store to returns the reference, and from this reference we can create what? Controllers. Okay, and controllers it will take first parameters as what? First parameter as the name of the controllers. So we have employee controllers, we can write the name, okay. And second parameters, it will take one function, okay, one function argument, so we can write here the one function, okay. And this function, whatever services you want going to use in this one, built-in services, you can write here. So we have many built-in services like scope, and one services we are going to use HTTP, okay. HTTP we are going to use to make one AJAX call. Scope, whatever data you will store in this scope, you can access in your view parts, even you can use access in your controller parts, okay. This is your what? Controllers. This will just prepare the one data, that may be data you are fetching from database, okay, I mean from calling any API, and you can prepare that data, okay. Again that data will what? Bind in this view, okay. So make one AJAX call, we have HTTP service here, okay. Then what we can do in these controllers, we can define the functions, okay. So what I'm going to do, you can define one functions or on load, you can load the data, okay. So I'm going to create one function, okay, or not one function. While loading, it will make one AJAX call here, HTTP. It will take here one parameters, okay, one parameters, okay. One parameter is what? Your one object you will take. Here we will specify the URL which we want to make a call, AJAX call, and methods, which method you are calling, okay, and some data if you want to pass, like the query parameters or path parameter you want to pass, okay. And these methods will return some reference from here we can call one other methods, okay. Then methods, okay. And then functions takes two parameters, okay. It's take two parameter, that is the function 1 and function 2, okay. And here you can write data, or you can write any parameter, okay. Response, okay. Just provide one body. What will happen here? You have to specify the URL, to which URL you want to make call, okay, as AJAX call. If that call is success, okay, then this function will be called first function. If fail, then the second function will be called, and you can get the response information from response parameters, okay. Then just give here the body, okay. So here's what we can do from this point. As a first parameter, we can pass some data. The first is URL is this JSON object, okay. So which URL you want to call? So we have URL, that is /employee employee controllers, okay. This is the URL. Which method you want to call? Just simply you can write what? Get method. If you want to pass any data, simply you can pass the data in the form of JSON if you want. So we don't have to pass any data in this application, so I don't need to specify that, okay. If success, we are getting the data success, okay, then to return data. Suppose I'm gonna print here console.log response, it will return. So if you are getting any errors, then it will return what? Response, okay. Response, will get something. Now let's execute, refresh this one, then just check, go to inspect and console. What is happening? It is saying the property ID something mistake at line number, which one? Here, okay. So here column, it's a JSON object, JavaScript object, okay. So comma required, just refresh, okay. Something error. What is the error? app.controller is not a function. Oh, spelling mistake is here, controller, okay. It's making Ajax call. Then we will use here service, okay? HTTP service. HTTP service, it will take one parameters, okay? That is the JavaScript object, okay, in which we will pass the API information, means what is the URL, which method we have to call, by which methods, HTTP methods, that's the get or post, and it will, from this, it will return the object from which we can call what, then methods, okay. In then function, it will take two function objects, okay, two functions as a argument. Then we can create two functions, okay, and two functions here provide the body and with one parameter response or whatever name of parameter you want, you can write, okay, response, okay, just write like this here, okay. So what will happen here, it's the object, okay, now it's object, you can see here bracket. So the first parameters are any parameters, not first or second. Just I'm gonna write URL. Which URL I'm gonna call? That is employee controllers. Which method you want to apply? Then that method is just, you have to write key methods and the value is what, get. We are not going to pass any parameters. If we have any parameters, then we can write what, like this, we can pass one array, okay. Then on success, this method will be called. On success, this method will call. Let's print response, what we are getting on success, or if we are getting any other things, response, okay. For this one, this is our model, and this model having what, one controllers. Then we will have to specify here as a containers, means from here we have to manage, we have to execute what, our AngularJS codes, okay. So ng app, you have to write here the name of your model, employee app, and which controllers, okay. Ng register the controller in this block, controller, okay, controllers, write the name of controller, okay. Now it will load this controller, okay, this controller will be created, and this function, it will call this function, okay, whatever you have configuration returns or what the function you have defined, and anything will be executed. So just I have made one simple Ajax call, okay. It will call this URL with get method. If we are getting any value, then this function will be called, and if failed, then say, okay, we got some information here. We can see 404 means you are passing, this is the wrong URL, okay. Let me check the URL, employ controller input. I think context is not required. We have 404. Okay, so we have to make, you can see here all the data we are getting, like in this one. So from the response, we have one key is data, so we can get the data, okay. So if you want to access any data, any object, or want to model, want to bind the one variables, so here what we can write, employee list, we can store from response dot data, okay. Response dot data we will get here only, and just print here what, scope dot employee list, it will print the list of employee. You can see array, we got this JSON data of all employee. What we want to bind this object, this employee list, with our view in table, okay. So what we can do, simply create one row, and here what we can do, just like a for each, ng repeat directive, okay, and here you can write in employee list. You have declared this, you have stored, you have defined this employee list here okay, in scope, then you can access in the view. Okay, this variable can be accessed in the view. Then what will happen, it just iterate with what, just like your for each loop in Java. Just it will return the first object in employee, second, third, fourth. Okay, from here first will be stored in variable, again second and third. So what we can do, for the every iterate we have 4 to 5 columns, just like emp dot emp id. Just refresh this page. Perfect, we got all the data. Okay, now I want to apply some CSS bootstrap classes. 2 classes I can apply here. What, table. If I write table, it will just take the full screen. Okay, we want to make this border table border. Okay, it's a table. If we are not getting here, emp.salary. Okay, we got salary. Now what we want, one features we want. I want to filter the data. We want to provide the filter and filter. For that I want to add one text field. Okay, first this one, I can take one input text field. Okay, inputs type text, and what I can do, I can just find, we can write here the ng model. We can find the value of this text field. Okay, then what we can write, search text. Okay, search text. What we can do here, simply we can just write filter. Okay, filter, and what should be the value, that should be the search text. Okay, from this one, what is the value of that one? Okay, that will be filtered, that will be checked. But where search, we want to, because this is the employee is an object. Okay, so it will not work. In filter, what we can do, we will have to write here filter emp, what property I want to find, that is emp id. Okay, so it will search the emp id now, and just refresh. Okay, 4, 5, perfect. Now here we have binded what, filter. On which property we want to find, filter emp id. What should be, search text. It will search just like a contents, whatever the value of this one is currently, it will just search. Okay, and the property emp id. So what I'm gonna search here, if you write 1, okay, if you write suppose 7 contains everywhere, you can see. If you write it a 5, it will 5 and 7. Okay, 5 7 5 6 5 6, it is searching like this. But what we want to write, like v, no, d, no, we want to search based on this one also, right? Then what we can do, we can write here filter. This is the function name search. We want to define the function, so we'll have to define that function in scope. Write the name of that function, search. Here's function. It will automatically pass. It will pass the word employee object. You can write here emp. Okay, so if you want that employee object, you can simply, okay, then what we can do, you can check if emp, okay, if emp dot emp id, okay, contents, what we want to check content. We can check emp id dot includes, okay, includes what, scope dot search text. Okay, we want to check the value of this variable. Search text contains, search text means what is the current value of this model. Okay, if you were writing, because we have find it here ng model, okay, then current value, if you are changing here, two-way binding is this. If you are changing the value of this text fields, that will be updated here in your controllers. Okay, it will be just changed. You will get the updated value. If you change here, then the value of this text field will be updated. So what we can do, just we can check id or emp dot name includes what scope dot text. I want to search in stuples, then return true. Okay, else whatever, return false. Okay, let's execute this one. Okay, let's just check. Includes emp dot includes is not a function, it is saying, because just I want to console dot log emp dot name. I want to print. Okay, we are getting all the names or emp id. We are getting emp id dot includes, I think working. Maybe this spelling mistake here. Okay, because it's working. It's working. Let me check what is the problem. It is saying because it may be the integer value, that's why it is not working. Okay, then what we can do, where id equal to emp dot emp id. Okay, convert, how to convert in, then what we can do, we can do here toString function. Okay, toString function, just apply here id. Let's check. Okay, it's working, but it is not showing. Okay, now we can guard the value. We filter v, capital V. Okay, so it is case sensitive. Then what we can do, we can simply check here. It's a case sensitive, you can say here, to lowercase. How to change this to lowercase? To lowercase. It will convert in a small letter. Okay, searching R. It's capital. Okay, so what we can do, again we need to do the same thing for search text also. Okay, two lowercase, both should be in same case. Undefined scope dot search text. So what you can do here, where dot txt. Okay, txt dot scope dot search text, and txt equal to txt dot to lower case. Okay, instead of searching this one, we can write here what txt, and here name dot to lowercase include text. Text is undefined. Then we need to define here one thing, that is first here we can define what is scope dot text search text, and by default we will store nothing. Okay, let's go and refresh. Perfect, we got here. Okay, if we write 1 2 5 searching, if we write v, it is not searching, then what we can do, scope dot to lowercase, okay, to lowercase, it will search now on the both fields. Let's refresh. Let's close this. You want to write 1, you want to write 5, you want to write v, it is searching. R is small and capital J, searching. You want to search on address, then what we can do, same thing, we can add the condition here for the address and other things too. Okay. Then we can give the filters at the time of loading, getting effects. We want to make this a little larger, so class form control. Right. Form control. Okay, size just right. Placeholder search. Okay, these all things you can put in one division. Class container, close class container. Perfect. ID 121 A M. You can set it step fast. That's great. Okay. Now what search function will be called, and you will get this item every time employee, and you can access here because its ID is integer. We are converting in a string. We are checking ID includes what, the search text, means whatever we have written in the text field, or employee name includes what, the search text. If yes, true. If this time it gets true, then that value will be rendered in this tables, okay, in the row. Again it will call for the each row, it will call this method. If returning in false, so that will be not added, means that will be filtered. Okay, so thank you for watching.